Hello, welcome to AllCBTs. My name is David, and in today's special video, we are going to take the likely GCE literature in English questions that you would encounter. So these GCE questions is covering WAEC GCE, NECO GCE. In fact, you would even see these questions in basically all O-level exams. But these are concentrated picks for the GCE, WAEC or NECO for this year. So write on with me and make sure you enjoy it. And of course, if you have questions and you want to talk to me using the comment section, I'll be happy to share thoughts with you. Now, let's begin by starting with the first question, which says, a praise poem is a what? A praise poem. What is a praise poem? A praise poem is a poem that is written in adulation of a dignitary, of a god, of an important person, of a hero, like the one that is written, to adulate an oba or a king. So that praise poem is called a panegyric. All right, so that's option B. And then question 2, a literary work in which the characters are animals is a dash. A literary work in which the characters are animals. So this is not a fact. So it's a fable. Why is it a fable? Because a fable could be fictitious, right? It's not often correct. It's not often the way it is, the way things are. So it's just a short story which could be imaginative or fictitious. So it could be animals, it could be characters could be depicted as animals, could be depicted as ghosts, as spirits, even as objects. So in such kind of writings, you just know behind mind that that writing or that poem or poetry is a fable. And then question 3, a short single act drama is called a dash. A short single act drama is called a dash. What is a short single act drama? That's like a skit. Most of what you watch online these days, all those comedy stuff, they are skits, but they are called skits. So, and those are also called playlets. They are very short, maybe within 5, 10, 15 minutes, right? Short drama. What's a drama? Where there is like a conversation, there is 2 or more people, right? So it's called a playlet. Question 4. Through the trees, I'll hear a single ringing sound, a cowbell jingle. The underlined is an example of dash rhyme. So what are the underlines? We have 2 underlines. We have single, we have jingle, all right? In the same line of poetry. So the underline is an example of dash rhyme. So this is an internal rhyme, because why? It's not beginning the rhyme. It's not beginning the line. It's not ending the line, all right? Because the line continues, right? So it's internal within the same line, right? So it's called an internal line. And then question 5. Yes. And then question 5. Yet, let me flap this bug with guarded wings. This painted child of death that stinks and stings. That's interesting. The alliteration in stinks and stings effectively conveys what? One of the things that confuses most students in literature and English is the grammar, the vocabulary, and the wordings, the lexical understanding of those vocabularies or placements. That's what destabilizes people. So really don't mind the grammar. What they are trying to say here is stinks and stinks. Which of these options connect or relate with stinks and stinks? It won't be admiration, definitely. It won't be indifference. We would go with, there is a D there, but the answer is actually within these first 3. The answer is distaste, all right? Displeasure. You are not excited, okay? You see, yet let me flap this bug with guarded wings. Painted child of death that stinks and stinks. The fact that it has this death, stinks, shows a kind of distaste or distaste by the writer. All right, question 6. A play on words for literary effect is what? Now, this is where a, a group of words, a phrase, or a line means two different meanings. Same literary device, but means, or same literary phrase, meaning two different things or conveying two different meanings. And such words that have such effects are tagged or named as pun. They are called puns. Question 7. It's a matter of sad joy illustrates dash. Sad joy. That's like opposite. So which of these figure of speech? I'm sure now you need to go and practice figure of speech a lot and master figure of speech. Okay, so that when you meet questions, you can, from the first look, pick and say, okay, this belongs to this class of speech. All right, it's a matter of sad joy illustrates dash. Sad joy. All right, so sad is what? Unhappiness, and joy is what? Pleasure or pleasantness. So a matter of sad joy, that will be what? Oxymoron. The opposite, when there are two opposites in the same line, that's oxymoron. And then question 8 now. The leading character in a literary work is called what? That one should be the simplest we've seen so far. That's the protagonist. The protagonist is always the leading character in a play or a device. And then what about the antagonist? Like supporting role. Sometimes they may even be the opposing role. Yeah. So that's that. Question 9. A situation where an audience is aware of an action a character is ignorant of is dash. We've seen this a lot in several plays, like Shakespeare and the likes of them, Hercules, So a situation where an audience is aware of an action the character that is acting or that is taking that action is ignorant of is called what? Okay, and that will be what? Dramatic irony. In other words, the audience knows what wants to happen to the character, and the character doesn't even know in a play. Interesting, huh? So that's a dramatic irony. And number 10, a fictional prose which is neither a novel or a short story is a word. Okay, so novels are prose. Okay, so this one now says it's not a novel and it's not a short story, so it's a word. And the correct option from this will be a novella. So what's a novella? Novellas are longer than short stories, but shorter than novels. They do not qualify to be called novels because they are not long enough. And they don't qualify to be called a short story because they are longer than a short story. Do you understand? Good. Now if you have continued up until question 10, it shows that you are enjoying this particular lesson. To show that you are, please type in the comment section that I am enjoying this, and make sure you smash the like button. It suggests to the YouTube algorithm that the product which we are giving you, right, the lesson is good enough so that they can push it to a wider audience of people. That's your way of saying thank you for the video, not just typing it in the comment section. This is your own way to say thank you and to ensure that our work goes to a broader audience. All right, thank you. And then question 11. Condensed use of language is a dominant feature of dash. Condensed use of language. That's when we crop something into fewer lines. And that attribute is always found in poetry, not in prose. In prose, word for word, just like in novel, right? But in poetry, you can just see 2 lines, and those lines carries a lot of information. They are condensed, and that's why they are always vocabulary thick or grammar thick, because they have to put a lot of words into that short line. Okay, an example is what you see in a Shakespearean sonnet. Good. And then question 12. The sudden reversal of a character's fortune in a literary work is called dash. The sudden reversal of a character's fortune. Okay, you have seen this a lot. Sometimes you can watch Nigerian movies where you see somebody fall from grace to grass. All right, so that's a sudden change in someone's fortune, or a poor person just became rich. You see the lot in so many literal works of art. All right, so that uh, character or that work is called peripetia. Peripetia. All right. If it's what about if it's hubris? Hubris is someone who shows excessive pride. Right? Hubris. Okay. So keep that in mind. And then question 13. A poem that is shaped in the image of the object it talks about is called what? Do you have an idea of this? This is when you have something like this. Maybe uh, uh, text, 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 text. Have you seen such uh, um, poems before? And then maybe they are talking about a tree. Okay, so the tree has this feature, it has that feature, and they actually write the lines of the poem in the shape of the tree. Sometimes it could be talking about a person, okay, or a mountain, and the poem or the poetry rather is written in the shape of a mountain or a hill. So that is what this is about. So, and that is called a concrete. A poem that is written in the image of the object it talks about is called a concrete. Okay, good. Question 14 now. The the choir, sorry. The choir is on wheels to a convention. Illustrates what? The choir is on way to a convention. Illustrates what? Now, is on wheels to a convention. It's only human beings that goes on wheels. Yeah, right? Those are human attributes. It's humans that drive a car or go on bike. When somebody is on a bike, or on a bicycle, or on a car, you say, oh, the person is on wheels. Now, they are giving the characteristics of a human being to something. So that's what personification. Personification is simply attributing human values or human traits to a non-living thing or a non-inanimate stuff. So that's personification. And then 15. Which of the following helps best to create and sustain interest in a literary work? Okay, in a literary work. Which of the following helps to create and sustain interest? Okay, whenever, let me just give you this. Whenever you are watching a play or you are reading a book and you lose interest, you know what happens? What simply happens is that the plot declined of that story. So it's a plot that sustains your interest, sustains the suspense, the intrigue. That's the plot of the story. When the plot has a lot of twists and turns, it shows that, oh, this is a good story and you are glued to it. So the plot is what creates and sustains interest in a work. And then 16, read the lines below and answer the questions. My heart aches and a drowsy numbness pains. Okay. My heart aches and a drowsy numbness pains. My sense as though of hemlock I have drunk. Interesting. This is very deep. Now, hemlock I have drunk is drawn from a line. I would remember the poet who wrote this. But hemlock I've drunk is drawn from a line, and it's actually a kind of like a herbal tree like that is poisonous and yet contains like some should I say alcoholic content that could get you drunk and yet it's poisonous. That kind of stuff. Alright, so the mood of the poet is that of what? You have anger, apathy, drunkenness, and what? Can we see the last one? And then option D is sadness. Right. So the mood of the poet is that of what? Sadness. See, so look into and to confirm that it says my heart aches. You can see pains, you can see aches, you can see like I've explained to you, this definitely means a bad state, right? Like poisoning, right? And the person states drunk, although this is not literal, this is an expression. Okay, so the mood of the poet is that of what? He's not hungry, it's not an apartheid, he's not drunk in the literal state, he's actually sad. is in a deep state of sadness. So that will be option D. And then 17 now. A narrative composed in the form of a letter is called a what? An epistolary novel. It's always in the form of a letter. Okay, 18. The device using she gave him lots of cash and tender attention is what? You have battles, no, suspense, no. You have Zugma. Yes, it will be Zugma because of why. Now, in this expression or in this phrase, now you have give, which is a verb, one verb managing two different things. You can say lots of cash on its own, tender attention on its own. Attention is an abstract gift or an abstract product or abstract goods. Cash is physical. So now we use one verb to combine two different things together. So whenever you use a verb like this to combine two different thoughts, feelings, ideas, or even physical stuff together, that is called Zugma. That's a Zugma. Okay, 19. The Shakespearean sonnet differs from the Petrarchan sonnet by ending with a word. This is simple. We've taken it a lot in previous literature questions. That's a couplet. Yeah. So, and don't forget the attributes of the Shakespearean sonnet. It has 14 lines, 4 contrasts, and 1 couplet. Never forget that because the question can come in different variations. So you know how to attend to it. And then question 20. Read the lines below and answer the questions or answer the question. The closing of the day is the beginning of the day. The closing of the day is the beginning of the day. It's like when you see something like this. Then you see something like this. Right? So the closing of the day is the beginning of the day. So what does this mean? Is it alliteration? No. Repeated. Well, it's a little bit repeated, but there is a term for it. And that term is run on. Run on. It continues to go on. So that is that about that. Now, if you've enjoyed this video up until this point, do you know that you can practice more of these questions? As a matter of fact, hundreds of questions like this on our apps that are free to use. You can find a link to download those apps in the comment section of this video. You can also find it in the description of this video, and then you can go download on Apple Store or Android Store and begin to practice a lot more questions as you'd want to. Then we also have the compilation of these questions. So, and it's just very cheap. You can see them attached to this video. You can click on the shop button and then you go purchase it, and then you'll be able to download it and practice hundreds of questions at your own pace and at your own convenience. Don't forget that if you have questions, you want to talk to me about something, please use the comment section. I'm happy to take your thoughts. Alright, question 21. A novel that features spiritual apparitions as major character is dash. What's spiritual apparitions? What's apparition? That simply just means all this kind of like horror movie where they do a lot of spiritual things, incantations, ghosts, you know, like Vampire Diaries, Yami Shurunga. Don't watch Yoruba movies. So a novel that features, but it's a novel, not a play, that features spiritual apparitions as major character. Like the major theme is all those kind of stuff. It's called a what kind of movie? You know, it's called a gothic. It's called a gothic kind of movie. Some persons might be looking for horror. Actually, it's called a gothic kind of a play or a storyline. 22. The literal term describing individuals in a work of literature is called what? Okay, the literal term describing individuals, okay, players, participants, people who take roles in a work of literature is called characters. Simple. the characters. Sometimes after watching a play, as you get to the end of the play, you see, they begin to list the characters in a text format. So, or even before the play, they list the characters. So that's character. 23. Several hands stretched out for free meals at the refugee camp illustrates what? We have antithesis, euphemism, litotes, synedoche. Synedoche. Some call it synedoche, some call it synedoche. Whichever you call it, it's just to know it. Right. So several hands stretched out for free meals at the refugee camp illustrates what? Several hands. Now, this is like a part of the body, the part of something that is giving us an idea of the thing. So when we say hands stretching out for free meals, you definitely know at the back of your head that this is talking about human beings, right? So it's a part that gives us an understanding of the whole. And what's that term? Synedoche or synedoche, whereby a part of something gives us the understanding of the whole thing. Good. So 24 now. A short play performed between the acts of a bigger play for entertainment is called, this is a simple one, is an interlude. Okay, those of you who are also music inclined, you also know interludes, when the chorister has taken stanza 1 and stanza 2 and then allows the interludes from the instrumental or the instrumentalist and then takes stanza 3. Okay, so that's interlude. It's always in between a play, a song, a writer, whatever. So 25. In literature, the two components of diction are dash, and that will be what? Let's see it. That will be vocabulary and syntax. So vocabulary deals with the grammar, the words, while syntax deal with the understanding of the words and the correct placement of the words. Alright, so they are the two most important things in any literature: grammar, words, and correct placements. 26 now. A bitter remark intended to wound the feeling of somebody is what? You have satire, allusion, sarcasm, ambiguity, and that would be what? Sarcasm. So sarcasm is often intended to hurt or wound the feeling of the hearer. Yeah. So that's that. 27 now. As we're rounding up, she waited for him for 1,000 years. This is beautiful. This is a figure of speech. What figure of speech is this? I'll give you 2 seconds to reason it. What figure of speech is? She waited for him for 1,000 years. Which of these? Alright? And that's what? Hyperbolic. Hyperbolic is what? Exaggeration that is used to express something in more vivid details or more vivid light. For instance, like someone saying, I've been waiting here a donkey years, or for donkey years. Meaning, man, we have waited, sir. We've been waiting for you. Alright, so she waited for him a donkey years or 1,000 years, just simply anything that has this exaggeration, or tall, the guy is just, just anything that is so exaggerated in nature is hyperbolic. And then 28 now. A literal device which expresses meaning in its direct opposite is called, you should know this one too, right? You use it a lot. So, irony. Irony is saying something and meaning something else. You get it now. Saying a particular word but meaning something else. And the person you are speaking to will know that, yeah, you mean something else. Right? Good. For example, if your mom said to you, let me just come down to the local way. Your mom said to you, your head is correct. You know that she's telling you that your head is not correct. It's not working well. Right? 29. They also serve who only stand and wait. They also serve who only stand and wait. You can see that it's in quotes. It's cut out from something. They also serve who only stand and wait. This would be a what? This would be an epigram. This is an epigram. is a short line. Epigrams are short lines that are like punch lines, that are memorable, that sticks to your head. You understand? So epigram are short lines that are used to convey much meaning, and they are often memorable. And then the last one for today, pick the odd item out of the options listed below. You have verse, stanza, reading, and dialogue. Verse, poetic. Stanza, poetic. Reading, poetic. Dialogue, drama. Dialogue is dramatic. Yes, because in dialogue, we are speaking to each other, but all these other ones is one channel communication. So verse, stanza, or reading. All right, so that's how we have it for today. We'll call it a day with these 30 questions. I hope I did justice to these 30 questions, and I hope you really enjoyed yourself. To see more of these questions and, of course, to practice a lot of them, make sure you smash the subscribe button. If you watch or follow through these 30 questions, meaning that you really want to learn, so why not smash the subscribe button so that when I make an update to this video, you can be notified and then come to watch. You also need to check the channel for several tens of other videos covering mathematics, English, chemistry, physics, and arts and commercial subjects. I'll see you at the top. Bye. Hi, I'm sure you enjoyed the content you just watched. To see more episodes as that, preparing you for your oncoming exams, smash the subscribe button on this channel right now and visit the playlist that we've made for you, covering over 50 types of different exams, including JAMB, WAEC, Cacao,